Hello, everyone. I'm pretty sure I won't have any people on here yet, so I'm just going to be getting my stuff ready. And oh, we do have a person watching. Hey, how's it going, man? So I am going to be drawing in my sketchbook today, and this is the first time that I do a live thing here on TikTok. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so first of all, let me explain to you how this awesome little thing is. Like, I don't get sponsored. I don't do things, and I normally don't sell shit. So these are called book belts. I don't have a link or anything. Go find them on Instagram. Um, book belts, so freaking cool, man. Like it's just awesome, and they go really good with every sketchbook. So I highly suggest you go check them out. Well, we have a few viewers. Yay! So, what we're going to do today is I'm just going to talk. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask questions. And I'm going to just be finishing a drawing that I did the other day. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better as I go about. Let's get a better close up. There you go. All right. Okay. So I'm going to take ballpoint pen and highlighter, and we're going to be using those two right now. So I like to do a lot of my art with very simple, very simple stuff. Most of the art that you see in my sketchbook is very concept worky. Like it's things that are just either ideas that I have in my head that I need to get out, and they're very quick concepts that I just like getting out. It's not incredibly rendered work. It's not super detailed work either. And it's just mostly to get any idea out that I really want to get out. I use my sketchbook as a learning tool, as instead of a gallery. And what turns from this is the ability to turn out concepts really quickly. So I've been working with the concept of a magical haired little girl with a varsity jacket. Her name is Bubby, and she has her little demon, like bleeding heart demon called Munchies. And this has been like my obsession for the last like week or so. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of like the process. So this character actually came. Let me see if actually I'm not going to be able to find any artwork because for some social interaction that I had with an ex-girlfriend, I was not allowed to actually keep drawings of this drawing. So anyways, Bubby is a character based on a person that I met a long time ago. And she is a very kind little girl to like to animals. And she has awesome magical hair, and it's just pretty much a mixture of every single thing from like every relationship that I've ever had. Like there's a little bit of every relationship that I've ever had in my designs. And it's really cool to develop characters like that and start making them come to life. Right? So I go about designing absolutely everything, rotating it, not necessarily turnarounds, but just going about exploring the designs and just, you know, figuring out what's going to be the next thing to do with the character. So, for example, this guy is amazingly fun to draw because he's just a little ice cream scoop with a little boopy nose, and then he has his cheeks. And then he's just like melted onto the ground. With this little heart, his little tuft of hair, and his little horns. He is so incredibly fun to draw. He's adorable. I love munchies, and I've had versions of them over the years. Let's see if I have an image of them recently that sparked all this. Yeah, okay. So Munchies was originally something like this. He looked more akin of like a really pointy monster. And then in the process of me developing what his powers or whatever would be, came across this concept with a little heart just spewing like a void of demon juice coming down, right? And then how do you counter that? How do you counteract something that looks so devastatingly creepy? And you do that by creating a character that's stupidly cute. And then, so the concept behind him is that whenever he gets hungry, he just becomes this ridiculously evil demon thingy. And since little Bubby carries candy with her all the time, that's why they're just naturally friends. Now, then I came up with the concept or idea of making her making it like a battle anime or something, where every person has like a little demon character, right? And then kind of like Pokemon meets I don't know, Bleach meets the armor stuff from Naruto, and then the little demon just envelops you, and then now you get little powers. So I don't know, that was something funny that I was thinking about, and that's the sketch that I actually was finishing up. Then little tiny details like just learning how to draw the character from each angle, even though they're simple, just making sure that you understand the shape that you're drawing. That way you can draw them in any way, shape, or form you want. If I was going to give her a hoodie or just a collared shirt, and little details like that are just how when she runs, is she going to leave her hair coming back? How is Munchies going to run? Is he going to just float? I have a feeling he's going to be more like a bat ray. That's what I have. Yeah, I have a feeling he's just going to slither like a bat ray. But that brings us to today's sketch. And this is more akin of the battle situation that I was talking about. And in this case, I had her and Munchies kind of fighting together against the bigger demon. I don't know. I'm still working on the idea and the concepts behind it, but I am absolutely in love with this concept. And I have very rarely expressed this much interest in developing an idea. For me, this is fantastic. This is probably the coolest idea that I've come up with, and I plan to take it to fruition. Okay, so in this case, we're going to have Munchies here with his little heart. And by the way, the concept behind him, the reason they're called bleeding heart demons, is because their bellies, their underside, see we're drawing him from the bottom. He looks like a little bat ray, right? His legs. And then, so his shape is more like a bat ray, and he has a heart. So the little heart underneath is technically, it's not a birthmark or anything. It's like a little pocket void to a different dimension. And it just sucks everything in, and he can command little tentacles and stuff like that, to come out. And the reason they're called bleeding heart demons is because that void, as they slither or they travel, leaves behind a little trail. And when you see it from underneath, it looks like it's a bleeding heart. And their horns would be right here. So that's the reason that I called them that. And I don't know, it just came up. It's an idea that I came up with, and I enjoyed it. So it's something that I plan to develop a little bit more. It's something that I can totally see being made into little toys or pencil holders. And even look at that. I could even make pencil holders that look like that. That'd be cute. It's very similar. And then just be like getting a mold, and then you could draw with munchies. Let's see. I'm gonna move that down. And this is like one of those pencil holders that they sell at like dollar stores. I just cut it so it would actually be able to be moved and like slid up and down better. Plus, it gives you a slightly better grip. It's a very easy way to make your hand not hurt when you're drawing as well. So, in case you guys are wondering, to my 6 viewers right now, I will be doing these every day now here. It's very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, but Instagram as my main platform for sharing is very, very much so dropping the ball. It's limiting everybody's audience. At least, I don't know about everybody, but I'm seeing drastic drops in even the more popular content creators. And it's so unfortunate because we are just not getting any engagement with our audiences anymore. It's horrible. It's just sad. It's like the platform is just trying to kill itself. Like it's just not even caring anymore. And that is so sad. I have never really done much on TikTok. So it's going to take a little bit getting used to and getting some growing pains in there. But I'll figure out the best way to make the most out of this platform, just like I did with Instagram. And I will bring you guys some awesome stuff for you guys all to learn and to have fun with, and challenges and good information like I do with all my platforms. Oh. And notice, and if it actually ends up being like a thing that I enjoy here, it's just going to be really, really nice. So right now I'm just drawing his little tether. He's just like wrapping up the other demon and just like he just constrained them completely. Now, okay. Something that I came up with that was really, really fun for me. I started gauging the demons by their like horns, right? So these horns, they're in my brain and in my world, they're called poly horns. Why poly? The person who this is originally based from had these adorable monsters. And it was just adorable monsters. They were so cute. And they always had little stripy horns. I fell in love with that concept. And I didn't see her continue doing so in her art. So I wanted to kind of immortalize that for her. You know, she was a great impact on me. So I wanted to do something and like make sure that never died out. So a lot of the things that you see in my art you'll see like if something has horns, it has striped horns. If something has a tail, it's a striped tail. And that's normally pretty much to like commemorate like the inspiration that she brought. That simple. If you make an impact in my life, I will immortalize you in art. So these kind of grow out, and as they grow out, they get sharper and pointier, and then you end up with a lot of rings. So the more rings the demon has, the older it is. Munchies is a baby. Munchies is just an overly powerful baby. And he's just adorable and cute, and like he just doesn't know his own power. He just knows that if he's hungry, he needs food. And if he does not get fed, Okay, let's see. All right, so when drawing anatomy that is not real, anatomy that does not exist, right? Like demons and monsters, when you're trying to figure out how to draw the skeletal structure, that's when it makes a lot of like importance to understand the basics of a human skeleton so that you can adapt that and then just exaggerate that. So if this is the jaw, then the jaw would connect into the cheekbone, and then you would have the cheekbone coming up here. And then you'd have the eye socket, and then you'd have the eye inside of that pocket. There you go. Now we have a properly drawn eye for a monster that really doesn't exist. Okay, now we're gonna be playing with, should we play with highlighter or do we do watercolor for this? I'll let you guys choose. You 5 right now. You guys have all the control right now. How about that? I'm gonna give you guys power either if I do this with watercolor or if I do this with highlighter. Okay, we have 1 watercolor. Okay, there's 4 more of you there. 2 watercolors. Oh. Okay. I think since the 2 people that said watercolors answered really quickly and the other 4 are very shy, I'm going to be doing watercolors. So watercolors are really fun, especially when you draw with ink, right? Watercolor does not mix very well with certain pens. Certain pens will bleed horribly. And I'm going to do a little example for you guys, just so you understand the difference. And that's why it's so important to test the materials before you use them. Now, here we have 2 different types of pens, right? We have a brush pen. Let's get another one. We have a felt tip pen. And we have a ballpoint pen. Now, these 3, now we're just going to make a couple different objects with them to test out the bleed. And this is how I test out my bleed. I will do those same 3 shapes. And this is a box with a little bit of lines coming up. And then something with a slight crosshatch. Now, the reason that I do it like this, 1 is to see the overall coverage, that is how it's going to work with the actual pen. This one is to see if it'll smudge if I have a lot of detail and cross-hatching in between. And then this one is just to make sure that it's not bleeding the small details in the lines or expanding them so that it, messes up my art. Then we take, what is this watercolor set? It's an Essentials watercolor set from Walmart. Oh, super fancy. But I was given this as a gift, and I freaking love it. It's so convenient. It's so nice. Like the little brush, and it has like a little palette at the bottom. So watercolor is very finicky, and it's not necessarily the most consistent of materials. It really is dependent on how much you layer it and how much you dilute it. So it takes a while to get used to it. In this case, I just put a little bit here. I rub it and then I smear it onto my canvas thingy. And then I test it a little. And then I'm going to go over my art. I'm going to saturate this nicely. Just to make sure. Do the same thing with this one. Bleed into the normal part. And this one, I just need that part. Okay, so as we can see with the ballpoint pen, there's absolutely no issues with bleed. It doesn't expand, and it doesn't alter our line work absolutely in any way, shape, or form. So therefore, it gets a big fat check mark. We can use ballpoint pen with watercolor perfectly. Now let's go with a different color, the different one. Let's go with the brush pen. And actually, like in the first one at least, actually like finesse it in there. Like go over it a couple times to make sure that it's not going to be something that wears down. And Faber-Castell, hey, fantastic. I thought these were actually going to bleed. Interesting. Indian ink, waterproof, perfect. Okay, so if your pen says waterproof, it's waterproof. You can actually use water with it. The next one, last one is which one was it? The Strattenmeyer pigment liner. And this one seems to be just like the ballpoint, absolutely nothing affected at all. Now, let me see if I can find something that actually will be affected. And I know for a fact that Sharpies are absolutely horrendous with water. So let me show you guys what it does, and if I can find my Sharpies anywhere. Aha! I found a Sharpie. Okay, so let me show you what a Sharpie does so that you see. And this is an alcohol-based marker. Alcohol-based markers, will they say it's alcohol-based? Okay, I don't think it says it anywhere, but you can smell it. You can smell this marker from a mile away. So if you can smell the marker, it's probably going to be something that has alcohol in it, and it might bleed. Let's try that. Whew. Okay, that's not a good smell to like have around. Okay, a little bit of water. Was I wrong about Sharpies? I think I was wrong about Sharpies too. What? Since when are Sharpies waterproof? What? I'm so wrong about that. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm going to actually have to like see what is something that bleeds. Let's see, hold on, I have my test page right here. Huh. Interesting. I'm gonna have to see which Sharpies are the ones that actually bleed. But anyways, it seems like it is safe for us to use our materials after our tests. Okay, so she has a either pink or a purplish, light pinkish hue to her hair. So let's see if I can achieve that with this very limited watercolor set. So I think I can do that by just putting a little bit of red. And I'm slightly colorblind, guys. So if it doesn't look exactly like the colors that I'm mentioning, just forgive me. Okay, so I'm just gonna be mixing the two pigments to getting like a purplish, and then that purplish, I can either add more hints of blue to achieve that tone that I want. Now I need to make sure that it's going to be diluted enough so it's not incredibly dark on the page. So I just add and squeeze a little bit more water in there, and that's going to provide me enough to probably do my entire piece. Okay, so there you go. And then we slightly just spread the tint around. You can grab it from one part and then just spread it so it's nice and even. The beauty of watercolors is that it's very easily maneuverable, and it has a beautiful uneven feel to it. Like, it just has this wonderful, like, randomness to it that just makes it look so cool. Especially when you like start layering colors and making gradients and stuff. It's such a fun medium. And I don't think enough people use it to sketch. It's such a fast way to put colors into something too, though. It's like the reason that I enjoyed highlighters so much is because I was able to put a little bit of color incredibly quickly in anything that I did. And that's honestly the like what I've come to love about watercolors as well. Okay. No. Okay, now let's start going in with a little bit of red. And then just adding those little details of color. Munchie's little heart. She's gonna have a little heart as well. And then let's see, what color do we want to make? Let's make her jacket this color too. Okay. If you grab a little bit too much color, you can always grab it again from the actual position. It's like, as long as it's not completely dry, you can always lift a little bit of the watercolor color if needed. Okay. All right, let's give him a little bit of color to his tuff, his cheeks, and we'll give this guy a little bit of color too. Give a tiny bit of color to his nose, and then spread that out. And if that's too much, you can always lift it with your finger. And then just slowly pick it up again. Then you get nice little gradients. Then do the same thing with her nose. It's all about not precision. It's not about like style, really. It's just about learning about subtlety. Not everything has to have like a bold outline or like a super bold color to it. And you learn that slowly as you progress in your career. Okay, there you go. That a little bit in the cheeks. All right, and then let's see. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit more of like a red hue to her hair, and we're gonna use that saturation. Oh, who is this Senor? I don't know how like sharing live thing works, so I don't know if I'm going to be accepting anything like that yet. Let me get used to the format and what I can do with this before I actually engage in that way with you guys through live video. But you guys can leave comments, questions, and everything. If you're looking for that. Okay. Adding a little bit of a slightly darker tone to the hair will enhance the fact that it has volume. and just adding a little bit more of that same color on top will act like a multiply layer in Photoshop, if that makes better sense to you guys. Okay. Gonna make her eyebrows a little bit darker. There you go. All right. Oh, and then we have the other side of her hair. That also requires a little bit. How's your guys' morning going? We still have 4 people in there. I would love to hear from you guys. You guys are keeping me company on this morning. Let me know how you guys are. What are you guys doing? Besides, do you guys have your sketchbooks with you? Are you guys drawing along? Or are you guys just really shy? Let's see. Let's make the demon like a blue. Yeah, that seems fun. Okay. Okay, so let's try a light hint blue. So I'm just layering the initial very, very, very light layer of blue because I want to make him have a lot of depth. Like I want to make his skin feel like it has a texture to it. So I'm going to set down the first initial layer that's going to work like a base layer. I'm going to wait for it to dry a little bit, and then I'm going to proceed to adding layers on top of that. All right, there you go. Have that. We're going to leave the belly white. And meanwhile, let's create a little bit of an environment around them. Let's see. What colors do we go for that? Let's keep with the same consistency of blue and pink. So we're just gonna go blue. Gonna make some grass by just flicking up, up. Keeping it a little bit random, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. But you can create a texture of grass and foliage by just doing that motion. Flick, flick, flick. Flick, 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 flick. Flick, 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 flick. You can do the same thing with a pencil too. Flick, 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 flick. It's good to make sure that your characters are grounded. So whenever you're doing grass or any sort of material that actually molds around the character, make sure that you're drawing that sometimes going up into the character. Just flick, 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 flick. It adds that little tiny next level of depth to your thing. And I say depth a lot because that's a huge part of it. Like when we're illustrating and drawing, depth is a huge factor. You need to, that's what perspective is for. That's what volume is for. That's what shading is for. That's what line work is for. That's what colors are for. Is to create contrast and depth. Okay, so we have our ground. Let's make some trees. Trees are very easy to do too. I like to do little just pokies and swabs. That's what I call them. Poke, and then you swab. Poke, and then swab. Poke, and then swab. poke, swab, poke, swab, poke, swab. And then just go around creating little circular elements that have line weight in different parts. And it's going to eventually start looking like a tree and leaves. And since we don't want it to take away from our main characters, like we don't want the foliage and the tree to be so detailed that it takes away from the main focus of our piece. So we're going to create simple but stylish foliage whenever we do art, and we don't want it to be like the main focus. Okay, you're gonna have to learn to create foliage, and the best way to go about that is to go out and draw trees. And don't focus on the shapes of the trees. Don't focus on the texture of the trees. Little illustrations. How do I like the ELO sketchbooks? Oh, that's it. While we wait for this to dry, I can talk a little bit about the stuff that I normally draw with. Okay, so ELO sketchbooks are fantastic. Like, they are slightly on the pricier side, I believe. But if you actually use your sketchbook and you enjoy the consistency of having great, like, thick pages that doesn't bleed. Well, it does bleed a little bit if you use alcohol-based markers like Copics. But it doesn't bleed if you use watercolors or you use normal stuff that's not Copics. So I highly recommend it. These and the Nique sketchbooks are the best sketchbooks you can buy. The Nique sketchbooks are also fantastic. Let me give you guys a little tour of my favorites. Okay. So we have ELO sketchbooks. And let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, there you go. So my favorites like this last couple years have been ELO and the Nique. The Nique sketchbooks are amazing. The Nique. Okay. I think I have a code for these guys if you guys want to get these cheap. And I think I have a code for these guys too. I'll have to get that. And then if you guys come in tomorrow to the stream, I'll give you guys then. But it's like 15% off every order you guys want. These are fantastic sketchbooks. I did this whole book in watercolor and pen. And it was, my pinup book. In case you guys don't know, I have 2 art books. So I'm pretty sure the ones that are watching this already know that. But as you can see, the Nique sketchbooks held up very well throughout an entirety of watercolor and ink pens. Absolutely saturated it with color. I hit it with everything I had, and the book held up like a champ. So the Nique sketchbooks are great. ELO sketchbooks, this is the first time I drawn one, so this will be my first one completed. And it's actually incredibly nice too. I love the rubbery surface of them too. Like the surface, they feel sturdy, so you're not gonna bend this. Like you're not gonna like ruin these sketchbooks at all. These are hardcover sketchbooks. They're not that expensive. The Nique sketchbooks are remarkably cheap, and you can put your own art on them. Did you know that? You can put your own art on them. It's so cool. But anyways, let's go back to art drawing. Yeah, but that's how the ELO sketchbook is going so far. It's going well. Oh yeah, and they have like different sizes too. Like these are like gigantic, like 9x12s, I think, and then the 9x7s, and then yeah, but they're really cool. 8.5 by 11. All right, let's go back to our drawing. All right, so what I'm noticing here is that I need some sort of color in here in order to make her pop out and him pop out, because white on white does not stand out. So whenever situations like that happen, in this case we have foliage, so we can play around with the foliage that we already did and then just add to it. So if we have foliage there, odds are there'd be foliage, in different places as well. Like brushes, bushes, or even just the general sky. But in this case, we're going to add a little bit of texture by just doing the whole dab and swab, dab and swab, dab and swab, and then just leaving little tiny hints of ink. Like little tiny dabs of ink, you want to leave them there so that it generates these different hues and gradients. There you go. Ba, ba, ba. Okay. And now we got to get a little tiny bit in between them. I don't want it to be too much. So I'm just going to make it light. And just adding a tiny bit of color to areas that just need it. Okay. All right. Now let's see. What else can we do to this? This is already dry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get close up again. The watercolor tends to wash out a little bit of the inks. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to retouch anything to enhance it one last time. Then we're going to add white to pinpoint highlights, and then we'll be done. And that'll be our illustration for today. Now let's zoom in again. There you go. All right. So inking with ballpoint pen is fun. You got to be very precise. All right. You have to understand that if you mess up, it's not the end of the world. When you mess up with pen, the whole reasoning, like in my head, is that it tricks my brain to not make as many mistakes. It tricks my brain, or it like forces my brain to think in a more methodical way. Instead of me just slashing with a pencil and knowing that I can just erase the lines. If I can't erase the lines, I can't be that messy. And if I need to be more precise and I want to get better at the end of the day, I need to challenge myself. And it's a fantastic way to challenge yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's going to help you in the long run. Okay. And I have definitely found that drawing with pen for a couple years now has drastically increased my ability to do concept work really quickly. Okay, he has a cookie. So I'm going to get a Crayola marker and I'm going to give it like a little cookie color. Nom, 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 nom. He's so happy. Okay. All right, let's continue on. So I would love to know what you guys look for when it comes down to content on TikTok. Like, if you can, 5 of you that are on the stream right now, if all 5 of you can let me know what is appealing to you when it comes down to TikTok and art, I would absolutely love that. I know it's a little bit different than Instagram. Actually, it's really different than Instagram. So generating content that is only like 15 seconds long and still be able to teach someone is going to be very, very interesting to overcome. But I've never backed away from a challenge. And it's something I want to do for, like, I want to just do art and share my art with everybody and teach everybody how to live off art for a living. So you gotta adjust. It's a path I have chosen. Not the easy path, but it's a path. Okay. It's coming out pretty cool, guys. Thank you all for actually staying tuned in, though. Something that creators don't really do often is actually thank the people that watch them. I wouldn't be where I am without people like you. And I like to appreciate all the people that appreciate me. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart. All right. You know, I have not touched my coffee this whole time. And that's a good sign. Whenever you get into the zone with anything and you find that it's been a while since you took your last bite of food or you looked at your phone, those are the best times. That's like the best feeling. Because you know that you're creating something that your brain is like so fascinated by that it blocks everything else out. And only very few people will be able to feel that in their lives. With art. Maybe with music. But it's mostly, I don't know how non-creative people go into their zone. And everybody has a zone, you know, but people just access that differently. I really like wonder how non-creative people do. Like I don't surround myself with people that are very not creative. So I don't really have many friends that are like outside of that. All right. Okay. So I think it's coming out pretty cute. Now, in her world, there is one element that I will always add. In her world, the sun is very derpy. I don't know what my brain makes me think this, but if the sun had a personality, it'd probably be like this extroverted crazy freak that, you know, knows that everything revolves around him. And he would be right. Grab a little bit of the yellow watercolor. Wow, that like covered very, very solidly. And I put a very minimal amount of water. And let's make it a starbursty sun. And the reason I did the starbursty sun is so that I could create a little yellow around that eye so that it would stand out a little bit more without me having to add blue or clouds or anything. There you go. Yay! All right, everybody. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's admire the doodle for a second and say some final thoughts. All right. So today we rendered the finishing touches on this piece. We learned a little bit about inking with ballpoint pen, bleeds, and just generally having fun with an object. You guys learned a little bit about munchies and Bubby, and a little bit more about how I think and what I do when I function like. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Thank you all so much for staying tuned. And I don't know how these work. I don't know if they go onto like the feed or something. But in case it doesn't, I thank you all so much for being here with me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Okay? Talk to you guys tomorrow with another sketch. Later.